Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to all participants and to our panelists joining us for today's webinar. At Scai, we are dedicated to supporting the growth of the shopping center industry in India. One of our key objective is to promote knowledge sharing among professionals in the field. We provide a variety of learning opportunities such as virtual workshops, master classes, and in-person sessions. Every month, we host a webinar aimed at enhancing the operational skills of industry professionals where seasoned experts share their valuable insights. Today's webinar, Design and Concepts of Future Malls, will delve into how sustainability and technology are shaping the shopping experience of tomorrow. Our panel today includes distinguished experts who have made significant contributions to the design of malls, which have become key pillars of the nation's economic growth. On our panel, we have Phil MacArthur, Rahul Mehta, Ruchi Ranjan, and Sumit Shukla. Phil is a founder and chairman of MacArthur Retail Development Specialist. Phil is a highly experienced shopping center specialist and a distinguished leader in the retail real estate industry, offering over 40 years of expertise across the MENA region and globally. He has assisted more than 150 developers in 22 countries. Phil has also spent several years working in India, contributing to the growth of the sector. Rahul is a founder and principal architect at RM Architects. He has spent almost 2 decades in the industry, working across the country in various verticals of design. His mission is to craft sustainable, iconic structures that go beyond mere functionality, leaving a lasting imprint through innovative design. Ruchi Ranjan. Ruchi is a general manager at DLF Group. She has a 90 plus year, 19, not 90, 19 plus years of experience across a diverse range of typologies such as mixed use, retail, commercial, residential, hospitality, and institutional projects, which are both environmentally and financially sustainable. Finally, Suvit. Suvit Shukla, he is a founder partner of SS Architect. Suvit has an extensive 20 years experience of working on residential and commercial projects involving both architecture and interior design. They embrace thoughtful and reflective design and pride themselves in challenging the conventional. So before we start the session, viewers, you can post your questions, which will be answered at the end of the session. So now let's start the session. Over to Phil.
Fantastic. It's just such a pleasure to be invited to speak to the Shopping Center Association of India. And I just want to thank Anjeef and the committee for making me feel so welcome. I spent my whole career supporting educational formats like Scai. I joined ICSC in 1981. I was the president of the Middle East Council of Shopping Centers in the year 2000 and still an active member and supporter. So I really understand the need for our industry to be together to talk and share and eliminate all the competitive barriers because we're in the global industry and I think it's a great opportunity. So I'll just start my presentation if we can. Here, just give me a second here. I hope you can all see this. It's just coming up, should be full screen. Is it full screen for you? I'm asking the group, can you see a full screen or are you only seeing part screen here?
Hi, it's not on presenter mode now. It is.
There we go. See, I'm going to talk about technology and I'm trying to
Yeah.
prove we can actually manage technology here. Anyway, so thank you once again. Um, my company's MacArthur Retail Development Specialist. I was a career shopping center manager, developer, leasing agent. But in 2011, I started on the path of being a consultant and a leasing advisory. So my title is founder and chairman. We currently have a company based in Dubai, about 11 full-time people. We work on new shopping centers, master plan communities. We try to stay in the focus of retail. However, as I'll speak today later, that involves a lot of mixed use developments and, like I said, master plan communities. I have a long background in the industry. I started as an operations manager of a large mall in 1981 and grew my career as a shopping center manager and was invited to be the first manager of the Dira City Center way back in 1996. And here's some pictures of me and my staff in 1998. And also, we often got many visits by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, who at that time was, just learning how to make Dubai a tourism destination. From the time I worked in for Majid Al Futtaim, I also worked in Cairo, and I worked in back in Dubai as the managing director of Dubai Festival City, and then I spent 4 years in India as the senior vice president for Ivanhoe Cambridge. At the time, Ivanhoe, a sister company, had investments in residential and office properties, and we were investigating the retail business to see if there was a joint venture opportunity. However, 2008, when I arrived, was also the year of the global financial crisis. So Ivanhoe did not execute in those first 4 years any kind of platform. But I did have the opportunity to meet so many talented developers and managers and retailers in India. And it was really a pleasure, excuse me, to see the organized retail sector at its nascent stage, but already some magnificent projects were being underway and executed. And I fondly remember, some of the projects of DLF or Rahasia or Market City, and more recently with Lulu. And I'm sure there's many other great developers that are doing good work in India. Today, I'm going to focus outside India because I think the attendees may be interested in what's going on in our world and what's going on in the retail world. So let's carry on here. So the firm I started in 2011, we worked a lot in about 20 different countries, and we mainly do, like I said earlier, the planning of new retail developments. So, the background work you need to do for the market assessment, understanding the demographics, understanding income levels, trade areas, competition, design, operating standards, and then obviously what kind of retailers work in what kind of projects. And we give a lot of our professional advice based on our personal experiences. So in our team, I have a chief operating officer, Nathan Mahalingam, who has just joined us. And he started in JLL in India, worked at Capital Land, and then worked for many developers in the Middle East. And our CFO is Chetan Kothari, also, excuse me, from India. And he was the CFO of Tamdeen Shopping Centers in Kuwait City. Now, why do I have these two powerful gentlemen working with me? Because we have a need for our clients have a need that we provide not only strategic advice or well-researched advice, but pragmatic advice from operators who have done this before. So I'd say we're distinctly different than many of the international property consultants that work in many verticals. We only work in retail, and I only hire people that have actually worked in the trenches. And it's been a great 11 or 12 years since I started consultancy, and it's really expanded my horizons a great deal. Now, I always hear from people when I'm pitching our work or we're talking about shopping centers. You know, when I go to Cairo or I go to Mumbai or I go to Jeddah or wherever, people will say to me that, oh, it's different here. You don't understand the market here. You don't know that there's regional context that people think that we don't get it. But I really think that the shopping center industry and the retail industry in general is such a huge business. It's probably arguably one of the largest industries in the world. And when we look at retail, organized or unorganized or e-commerce, all those operations require real estate. So, with all due respect, I think I can illustrate in my presentation today that although every market is slightly different, it's more the same than it is different. So let me give you a few examples. Several years ago, I went to Beijing and I saw this shopping center. It's called Sanlitun, and it's an outdoor mall, promenades, landscaping, water features, Apple Store, iconic flagship stores. But also, we can go somewhere like Singapore and see, whether it's Ion Orchard or it's Marina Bay Sands. We see similar shopping patterns, similar shopping cultures, similar brands. Maybe the architecture is different, maybe the mandate is different, but we again see very similar habits. Here's Yas Mall in Abu Dhabi, which is the wonderful super regional mall that anchors the whole Yas Island, which is residential, recreation, hospitality, Ferrari World, Sea World, Warner Brothers Studios or Venture. It's got all these components that started with the idea of a regional mall. And then back to my hometown near Toronto, again, you can see Yorkdale Mall, one of the highest producing malls in the world. And this shopping center is 60 years old, meaning that it's upgraded and changed. But the point I'm trying to make is that if we're looking at organized shopping centers globally, they're more the same than they are different. Now, I think the other thing that is wonderful, I know many of us work in office or commercial or residential, but I've always found that retail development has these extensions that make it so interesting. Okay, what's the first one? Investment. Nobody builds a shopping center for fun. They build it so they will do high sales, be able to generate good rents, and make a profit on the land and the development. So we're definitely in the finance business, but we're also in the retail business. So owning shopping centers, we need to understand everything about our retailers. What are their needs? What are their requirements? And then we're also in the community business because shopping centers are the town squares of today and tomorrow. And therefore, we have this merger of these different interests that all, if they're working in harmony, can create such a magnificent investment, such a magnificent place to do business for the retailers, and an outstanding place for the community to visit. Now, the topic today is about the future. And when I was thinking about preparing for this presentation, it kind of dawned on me that the first day on the job in the shopping center business I had in 1981 was about the future. When we were operating shopping centers, we were looking at how to make them better, how to change them, how to deal with some of the trends that were happening. So I want to point out today that everything we work on in terms of planning, especially the work we do today, we're working on projects that the total outflow will happen 2025, 2030, 2035, 2040. in terms of master plan communities. So we have to be cognizant of what future trends we need to respond to. But again, we've always had to be aware of that. And I think, it's a cliche to say that, it's all about change, but it is all about change. And I've witnessed that change from November 1981 to today and what I've seen all around the world and what kind of projects we work on. Now, one of the things that, I'm going to talk about a few trends, and I'm sure my colleagues are going to talk about more. But one of the things that I started to think about is, when I was a kid or when I started working in the industry in my mid-20s, shopping centers in North America were basically 4 or 5 department stores, 200 shops, 1 restaurant, and a big parking lot. And there is not this emphasis on premium brands, luxury brands, haute couture, Vogue lifestyle, GQ. None of that was in the mainstream. This has all evolved over the last 20, 30, 40 years. And now these are some of the cornerstone principles of many shopping centers. So all my clients want to have luxury in their projects, and we are very careful to advise them which projects suit luxury and which projects are more middle market. But this affluence that we're seeing, we see everywhere in the world, and also in India, we'll see the Emporio Mall or the UB City in Bangalore, and we can see a reflection of the wealth that's in the country. Also in India, we know that it's a classic that this emerging middle class that's been talked about for the last 20 years is really happening. And that has allowed for the shopping center industry in India to grow. And there's many more middle market or discount retailers than there are luxury retailers. And that again, reflects the needs and wants of the market. Now, one of the trends that is probably the most influential to real estate or architecture is in the 70s and 80s and the 60s, this was a shopping center. A big sea of parking with a single purpose building, interior common areas that were either heated or cooled, and a collection of brands that reflected the market aspirations of each different municipality. But these are really not acceptable anymore. And many times we get clients come to us and say, I want to build a shopping center. And I'm saying, no, you want to build a town center or a mixed-use development. You want to embrace the idea that your consumer can come to your place and shop and eat and be entertained and potentially stay in a hotel there or live there in a residential tower or work there. Now, we know all of this because we know mixed-use developments are really, the latest trends. But I think it's important to understand that this trend has been going on for 50 years. Now, if we look at the single-purpose shopping center, and now we compare it to this project we're working on in Medina in Saudi Arabia, this is a shopping center. It serves 75,000 square meters, phase 1 of renting area. It has, all the regular big players in terms of shopping and brands, and it has a cinema and an entertainment center, but it also has hotels. It also has residential towers. It has an outdoor, water feature with, beautiful ambiance and restaurants facing the water and the connectivity to a rapid transit hub. So this is the new era of shopping centers and design, where the old single-purpose mall has really had its day. Now, as a young shopping center manager, I worked for a company called Cambridge Shopping Centers, which is the forerunner to today's Ivanhoe Cambridge. And at Cambridge Shopping Centers, we bought a number of shopping malls in Western Canada in the 1980s, and this is one of the malls we bought. And this is actually a photo from the 1980s. And this is not even the original shopping center. The original shopping center was much smaller, didn't have any mixed-use elements. And what I want to illustrate today is a shopping center that was built in the 1960s, and you see a photo here of it in the 1980s. This is what it looks like today. So when we talk about the future is now, all these properties have gone through an evolution of how can we make this property more valuable? How can we bring more customers? How can we delineate from the shoppers that are coming for convenience, like supermarket shopping, to the ones that are coming for high-end luxury shopping? And how can we densify this site to take advantage of becoming a town center, a regional town center? So no longer just a department store, a supermarket, and shops. It's now a place where people will live, stay, work. So the classic live, work, play. This is happening all over the world, and this is an example from Vancouver. Many of you probably know this shopping center, but you may not realize that this shopping center was opened in 1977. And, being in my hometown, we're very proud of this iconic building that has the Cadillac Fairview. The developer has his head office in those office component you can see on the upper floors. The Toronto subway station stops in the basement of this mall. It's got multi-story parking. It's had department stores come and go. They've re-merchandised. But the bones of this shopping center, the look and feel of it, the Galleria is quite amazing. And it illustrates that you can be building, this mall looks relevant to me today in terms of its look and feel. And if you think about the people that were building this in the 70s, how ahead of the game they were and how timeless the design is. So again, the future is now. Now, one of the things that's happened in my career is the response to every mall is the same. It all has the same brands. It's all walk in from the parking lot. And this idea of making shopping centers more like Main Street USA or Main Street Europe, and having outdoor shopping, outdoor entertainment, cafes, water features. I think a lot of this came from the desire from many municipalities to say, no, I'm not really happy with that strip mall or that regional mall with a sea of parking. We've got to move away from that and come up with a more humanized design. And I think that movement of the new urbanism or walkable communities where people can walk and work and shop and live, that's had a lot of influence. And obviously, some places like North America, where land values are still reasonable compared to other parts of the world, this can be explored. But this is definitely an influence. And after COVID-19, we found many of our customers all across the region were looking for more outdoor and more places to eat outside and, more society and communicating. Here's a good example in Dubai, City Walk, which kind of opened as an indoor-outdoor shopping center, but over time, it's evolved into a town center with multiple residential buildings, a large sports facility, a new licensed restaurant district, hotels. So this is the new urbanism that we're talking about. Now, artificial intelligence, I always kind of tease because I'm speaking on artificial intelligence, but we all have to be thinking about, I mentioned technology earlier, I think we're all suspicious and delighted with artificial intelligence. We know that it's going to make everything simpler and more organized and more automated. And I think today I'll only focus on what I think will be the benefits for our industry. But I think also we have to be cautious that it doesn't eliminate the need for human creative thinking that may be a little bit outside of the algorithms that generate the answers. So let's focus on the positives. And I think that artificial intelligence will continue to grow in terms of design of shopping centers and commercial buildings. And that because of the efficiency of that technology, we can get more flexible space, more plug and play space. You know how difficult it is to replace a big retailer when they go out of business, or you want to re-merchandise your shopping center. It may take a year to swap one in or swap one out and put one in. So I believe artificial intelligence in the design world will be extremely valuable. And how will it relate to the consumer? Well, I think there will be this move towards, we see it already, where the internet, Google, websites, online shopping, loyalty programs are all leveraging on artificial intelligence. And eventually, the consumer will be able to go to shopping destinations and get almost a concierge type shopping experience based on their needs, wants, preferences, and shopping habits. So I think it's quite exciting. Now, we know we're going to enter the era of automated cars. And if you think about the shopping center today, the cars, the parking is all about you don't have parking for a major shopping center unless you're in a very well-serviced metropolitan area that has great rapid transit. You need cars. But maybe in the future, we're not going to need so many cars in our shopping centers because of these automated vehicles. I think the way we travel around will be different. Maybe we won't be in independent vehicles, our own little homes on wheels that we drive around our town. So what will that do to when we build a property like Mall of the Emirates and we put in 10,000 parking spaces? Now, this happens to be under the ski hill, but it's on one side of the mall. Will this be the way of the future? Will we need all these parking spaces? I believe there'll be a totally different kind of integration of transit, taxis, rapid transit, automotive cars, self-drive cars. So I think it's just a topic of how technology is going to change malls in the future. Another trend that is, we work with a lot of great clients, and we have one client with a major property in Saudi Arabia, and I'm talking about a shopping center that's over 100,000 square meters that generates 10 million customers a year that doesn't have a website. And we're telling them that, you must have a digital twin. Your shopping center must also be reflected on a website, and you need all those social media platforms to communicate with your customers. So this idea, back when I started in the industry, what we needed to have were directories on the floor, yellow pages, and advertising. Today, we don't need yellow pages and advertising. We need a great website. And we need a great website that reflects your property. And, all we have to do is look at the top 10 developers around the world and look at how they're using digital to realize that the mall is now got a digital twin. And if you don't have a digital twin, then you're lagging behind. The other thing that we talked about earlier was the idea of indoor-outdoor. And, I'm a very big proponent of eliminating these massive parking lots that are soulless with, line stripes and curbs, and we make our customers walk through these parking lots, in some places through terrible climatic conditions, because all we care about is once they're in the door, they're now our shopper. But I really believe that's just old-fashioned thinking, and that if with a little bit of effort, we can make some of the outdoor areas in our properties look like this, a place where people want to go to the park, or they're going to the shopping center and it is a park. So, when we talk about these social places, I couldn't imagine anything nicer than this at a regional shopping center. The word experiential is used all the time. And I like this idea, but I really think the word should be good experiential. And I don't think experiential has to be the Dubai Mall with the Dubai Fountain and the Burj Khalifa. I believe that good experiential could be, like I said earlier, I'm coming to the property, it's easy to find the property. I'm at the property, They give me navigation assistance so I can find a place to park. I find a place to park, I can immediately know what door to go into and where I am in the building. When I'm in the building, I have a good experience because it's beautifully clean. It has comfortable air conditioning or heating. And every time I meet somebody in a shop, I have a great vibe, a great interaction, a great communication. To me, that's all good experiential. Do we need to have major attractions or major events to enhance that experiential? Of course we do, because we're that community destination that people seek entertainment. People seek experiences. It's just not good enough to just walk down the mall and shop. People want to be surprised and they want to be delighted. So experiential goes from the very basics of making sure the public restrooms are impeccable, right up to what kind of look and feel people relate to your property. Now, I think also, getting this level of customer satisfaction. I've been in the business for over 40 years, so I've been in many, many, many meetings of what are we going to do? How are we going to plan this? How are we going to beat the competition? What is our architecture? Who should our anchors be? What is the look and feel? Can we do it like this? Can we do it like that? But when you think about it, the basics haven't really changed. People are coming to our building for goods, services, F&B, entertainment, socializing. So it's our job to make sure that we make our properties welcome. Often I'll go to a shopping center that there's rubble in the parking lot, or there's trash containers overflowing outside, or the floors are not clean, or half the shops are closed when I get there. And I'll say to the owner, if I go to your house, is that the way you're going to greet me? So I believe that owners of shopping centers should think of their properties as a reflection of their own obligation to make it welcome and comfortable for their customers. So again, this is not about the future. This is about today, but even in the future, we're going to have to make sure all these basic fundamentals are taken care of. Now, I want to give you a few trends that I've been thinking about, because there are so many trends and influences. I'm sure my fellow panelists will be able to illuminate on many more, but I've shown you that master plan communities with planned retail distribution is something that we're working on all over the region. So we're not just talking about building houses, and we're not just talking about building offices. We're talking about building mini towns. You call them in India townships. And we're not trying to make it so it is cram as much as we can in. We're trying to make these pleasant places for people to live, move around, work, and most importantly, the arbitrary distribution of retail has to go away. It's just not pick a number out of your head and say that's how much retail we're building. There's a very sophisticated way to model the amount of retail that's needed. And when we do these master plan communities, we look at what we call user groups. How many people will live in the residential apartments? How many people will work in the offices? How many people will stay in the hotels? How many nights will they be there? How much will they spend per visit? How much inflow will we get from other catchment areas? And we are able to come up with a relatively scientific methodology to determine, oh, we need X amount of retail for that community, and we need this type of retail. From a strategic standpoint, mixed use development, I think I've made my case that single purpose malls are no longer the vogue. And, I joined the business in 1981, and my boss, Lauren Braithwaite, who is the president of Cambridge Shopping Centers, he made a presentation in 1982 about the loss of market share of department stores. And he predicted that many department stores around the world would go out of business in the next 20 to 30 years, and many would hang on because they had decent real estate assets. And if you look all over the world, you'll find that the market share of department stores is declining and will continue to decline. I'm not saying that there are not great department stores in the world. I'm just saying that we've become so good in the shopping center industry that we have stolen market share from department stores. And why? Because the shopping centers we build with brands like Apple and Nike and H&M and Zara, Primark, Uniqlo, whatever we have, we are delighting the customers, whereas the department stores were boring the customers. And customers are now used to, we wouldn't have any of these like Apple or Nike without technology. So when we talk about technology impacting shopping centers, well, there's no better example than Apple. And even the evolution of the running shoe with Nike was employing all sorts of technology and continues today. The other big influence, when I was first in the industry, like I said, the 700,000 square foot mall near Toronto, we had 2 restaurants. Today, it's very normal for a large shopping center to have 15 to 20% of their GLA devoted to all kinds of food and beverage, whether it's impulse food, casual dining, fine dining, quick service restaurants, you name it. That has been what I think has replaced the department stores for market share for shopping centers. And so when we work with our clients and we look at older malls, one of the first things we start to look at is how can we increase the F&B footprint? How can we make outdoor terraces? Another big influence has been like the brands like Uniqlo and H&M and Zara, these fast fashion brands who really are the darling of the industry, and they need us and we need them, and it's a great relationship, and our customers are buying in, literally and figuratively all over the world. When I was first at Majid Al Futtaim and we opened the Magic Planet, people thought that was the most revolutionary use of space, but we were just following that family entertainment idea that maybe got started in Europe or in North America, and we adapted it. And today we see cinemas, entertainment centers, ski hills, beaches. We see all kinds of escape rooms and trampoline attractions and all sorts of collection of entertainment, because this is a place where people can go. It's safe, it's organized, it's professional. Children have a good time, families have a good time. So malls end up being this huge social interaction space. And then obviously the last trend that I want to mention is online shopping. And, back again, because I've been in the industry for so long, I remember when I was with Cambridge back in the 80s, our vice president doing a presentation on a unique shopping facility unit, omni-channel facility in France that was just starting, where you could do some shopping on your television, interactive. Now, we've come a long way from the infancy of that, but the great thing about online shopping is that it again is like a digital twin to a shopping mall. So if you look at Amazon, well, that's the biggest shopping center in the world. It's got everything. But we also know that this prediction that online shopping was going to make malls obsolete is wrong, incorrect, and will never happen. And that in every market, online shopping will capture X amount of market share. In the United States right now, it seems to be about 20%. But if you ask retailers about their satisfaction of online shopping, they have problems with it. And mainly it's about returns and how much it costs them if someone doesn't keep the item. So all of these are trends and influences. Okay, I'm going to wrap up by spending maybe 5 more minutes on some of our projects. That I'd be a bad salesman if I didn't tell you about what we're working on, and hope that we can help some of the developers in India with some of their future projects. So as I mentioned, we are busy. We are working on master plan communities, and I just want to show you a few of these because I believe these are tremendous examples of the future. This one is in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. It looks like a whole city. This is the 4.5 kilometer long Jeddah Central, which is the redevelopment of a water desalination plant and a military base, and will now include an oceanarium, a FIFA stadium, a Santa Monica type pier, museums, residential accommodation for 100,000 people, office accommodation, luxury hotels, an opera house. And our job here is to determine how much retail GLA is required, where does it go, how do you distinguish between the different retail entities, and help the developer and the architects understand what the needs and requirements are. So if we have a luxury area, then what is the needs of that luxury shopper? Valet parking, dedicated parking, concierge service. And where is the back of house for all this? Where do the trucks go? Where does the trash go? So we get into the nitty gritty on a project like this, and it's a big honor for us to be successfully involved in a project like Jeddah Central. We do another one in Abba. Abba is in southwest Saudi Arabia. It is in the mountains in the Asir region. It has a beautiful climate. So in the wintertime, the highs would be 16 to 18 degrees Celsius. In the summertime, 25, 28 degrees Celsius. So a lot of people who live in Saudi Arabia also have a second home in Abba. Abba is 1 million people, and that entire area is a couple million people. And the government and this developer are investing $5 billion in recreating downtown Abba, regenerating the wadi. And here we figure, excuse me, about 145,000 square meters of retail will eventually be required. Back to the one we were talking about in Medina, this is just another view of their master plan, but actually this is just a small piece. They have many more districts that are, I think the whole master plan is maybe 10 times the size of this site. Here's a master plan that we worked on in Sharjah, Al Jada, which is near the Sharjah airport. It's a community for 70,000 people with residential, commercial hotels. And they started with the design of this beautiful Zaha Hadid designed shopping center. My team, we were challenged with the task of actually designing the inside of the shopping center because Zaha Hadid only designed the outside. So we had to figure out how to place brands in department stores and shopping supermarkets and common areas. And, I think this is really when you're talking about experiential, I've never seen a shopping center like this anywhere in the world. So this may be the challenge between form and function, but if you get it right, it could be a delightful place to shop, go for entertainment, go for dinner. We also worked recently in the Philippines, in New Clark City, where a gentleman named Mr. Han operates a casino today with several hotels. And he is developing like a 3,000 acre master plan community with residential, 4 or 5 of the leading hotel operators, 4 PGA golf courses, obviously a large casino with luxury shopping and popular price shopping. So again, they hire our firm early in the design process so they know how much retail should they design, where the retail should go, how to service the retail, how to make it popular, and how to distinguish between the high rollers that want the luxury retail and maybe the little more middle or popular price brands where they should go. So that's kind of our expertise. We also worked on this project, which is an award-winning project also in ABBA called The Point. And this was designed by DLR Architects, the famous American firm who has an office in Dubai. And we were involved in doing the merchandising and the leasing strategy for this mall, what goes where, what kind of brands, who the operators should be. And this is one of those wonderful new age properties that it's definitely mixed use. It's got residential, it's got a hotel, it's got retail. It's got community services like medical centers. It's got beautiful outdoor restaurants with views over the Asir Mountains. It's got family entertainment center, cinema, wine shops, as you call vanilla, and lots of restaurants. So very proud of this project. There's another view. And because the climate is so unbelievable, you can get such beautiful landscaping happening. And who would not want to go here to shop or have a dinner or, just meander through the property? The other kind of shopping that's going on these days is people are building these iconic towers all over the world. And if you think about the most extreme example is the Burj Khalifa and the Dubai Mall at the base of the Burj Khalifa. Now, most of these projects are not Burj Khalifa size. This is the Sumi Towers on the Corniche in Jeddah. And these are 300-meter tall towers. They'll be the tallest towers in Jeddah. And our role is to plan the retail that is at the base of these towers. And as you can see, from the architect's rendering, this beautiful facade with lots of designer brands indicating inside. Again, it's not a mall, it's not an office building, it's not a hotel, it's not a residential building, it's all of those things in one place. So I think this is also a trend. Another one we worked on in Kuwait with Foster's Architects is this Bukamseen Tower. This is some of the early massing models. But again, they're trying to create this indoor-outdoor climate control, very difficult in the Kuwait environment. Finally, excuse me, this is a retail resort that we're working on in Doha. This is also designed by Zaha Hadid out of London, or the firm Zaha. Rest in peace, she passed away several years ago. This is very high-end residential, and then there's a promenade of about 6 or 7,000 square meters of retail and F&B. And again, this is a new trend, adding this kind of waterfront destination, luxury, high-end. And so I'm going to conclude by saying how much I've enjoyed presenting to the group today. Our website is here, and my email address is here. So if anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me. And thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thanks, Phil. It was a really a very interesting and very informative. In fact, you had explained us the history of shopping malls, how they have emerged. So, panelists, any question you want, any clarity? Subed, Rahul, Ruchi, please. Hello.
Yeah, I think it's
You're,
okay. I think it's
it's
okay.
all, you're all on mute. Subed, Ruchi,
Hi,
Rahul.
Phil.
Hi,
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
I hear you great.
Yeah, I think a fantastic presentation, Phil. I think we really enjoyed that. Just a quick question, since you're giving us a world overview on what's going on. How do you see luxury blending into retail destinations? And do you see variations within that destination retail, or do you think that it's becoming more boutique?
Yeah, I love that question because every client I have wants Louis Vuitton. And I have to explain to them that Louis Vuitton has probably got one of the most sophisticated real estate departments in the world. If you think about it, all those luxury brands, they know everything about everything in terms of markets, spend, where the money is, where the properties are. So, if you're developing a property and could be the owner's ego says, I need to have Louis Vuitton, we have to be very careful. So there's that first thing is Louis Vuitton is not 7-Eleven. It's not on every corner. So that's important to understand. Now, when we talk about luxury, I bet you there's 5,000 luxury brands in the world, if not 10,000 luxury brands in the world. But every time we talk about luxury, we're only talking about Dior, Chanel, Gucci, Armani, Prada, Miu Miu. We're talking about the same 20 brands. So we do encourage our clients, if they're building a luxury project in a luxury location like the Sumu Towers, that yes, we believe that you can have high-end watches and handbags and shoes and maybe a few full-line stores, but luxury brands of the highest, those top 20 or 30, where they go around the world, Hong Kong, Singapore, New York, London, wherever they are, they like to be together because it's like a club. If I'm a Louis Vuitton customer, I'm probably a Chanel customer, I'm probably a Burberry customer, I'm probably a Hermes customer. And, it's a special club. Not everybody can be in that club in terms of their shoppers. So if we're doing something that is truly luxury, that there is a demand for luxury brands and there is a property that fits the luxury brand's desire, then we better make sure we get it right. And because they are very, very, very fussy about us understanding them and giving them the facades and the frontage and the depth of shops and the beautiful shop windows, and they don't want to be beside a Carrefour. You follow me? Now, it used to be said that Louis Vuitton would never go anywhere where there is a hypermarket. But all you have to do is go to the Mall of the Emirates and see the second most productive hypermarket in Carrefour's chain, and also see Louis Vuitton in the same mall. And you'll see that elsewhere now. So those luxury brands, want to be somewhere where the developer knows them, the architect makes the design to fit them, and the operator of the mall knows how to operate the mall and market with them. I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, Phil, I think that was useful. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
So, any more question from Saved or Ruchi? Okay, so thanks, Phil, for giving us insight and very interesting information. I think we are thankful to you for giving us such an informative session, and I hope my viewers must be enjoying it. Now, next is Rahul. Rahul, yours now you have to tell us the viewers that what are the future concepts, design and concepts of future malls.
So just let me know if you all can see my screen and if you all can see it in full screen mode.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, we can see. No problem.
So I think it's going to be tough to follow up Phil's act. I think he did a fantastic job in covering practically all the probabilities that we are looking at.
Yeah.
Considering that Phil was going to give everyone a world overview, I'm going to kind of come down to what we are seeing in our country and how we are seeing evolution take place. But before that, very quickly, a word about ourselves. So I am Rahul Mehta. Hi, guys. I am the founder and principal at Rahul Mehta Architects. We started our company a few years back, and we're very happy to say that we're enjoying this space of architectural design and being an entrepreneur. It's a lot of fun. I'll just quickly go ahead. So what we do take our pride in is that we operate in architecture, interior, and landscape. We operate in various design verticals such as master planning, residential design, commercial design, IT, retail, hospitality, mixed-use developments, and public buildings as well. Without taking much time on our profile, I'll go ahead. So focusing on the typology that we're speaking of today, we have been part of the following typologies, which I think more or less cover the typologies that we see. So we're doing regional centers or destination retail, as we call it. We're doing one at Chennai, where we are doing the mall part of it. It's also got a whole market. It's also got a high street component to it. It's also got an FEC component to it. It's a very interesting project that we work master planned on, and then we're doing the mall part. It's so like Phil said, this is actually one of those destination retail points where we expect that people in and around Chennai will come. The gross retail footprint is about 60 odd lakh square feet, so which is a very interesting one. There is a neighborhood center, which is the other type of retail that comes about. We're doing a few in Mumbai, we're doing a few in Pune. And these are much smaller, but they're specifically looking at certain micro markets. Then you come to luxury and boutique retail, as we like to call it. And this is, we're doing one or two of these in Mumbai, one in South Mumbai, one towards the suburbs. Again, like Phil said, these are some really high-end brands which are coming into the project, and the audience that we anticipate is niche. We then look at value centers, which I think is coming up quite a bit as a trend. And this, I think, is also a lot due to what's happening online. So what we do see is these centers, which are about 1-2 lakh square feet. They're not a full-fledged mall, but they're not just high-speed retail as well. And we're doing quite a few of these. This is also a very interesting trend that we feel is picking up. Then there is high street retail, which is really G+1, G+2, long large street intents, and then we've got a new trend, in my opinion, which is multi-purpose and pop-up retails. So in a lot of our projects, what we are seeing currently is that we are designating sometimes 2 acres, 1.5 acre, 3 acres of space, which sometimes is a car park, sometimes is a courtyard, sometimes is a open plaza, which then converts itself into a flea market, converts itself into a concert space, converts itself into kind of various F&B events. So it's a very interesting trend that we're seeing, and we started suggesting these spaces at about 20 to 30,000 square feet, and now these have gone into multiple of acres, which is very interesting and a trend that we're seeing picking up. We go ahead from here. So coming to our thought process today and our subject at hand, go on. So what we see in general is that as we move forward, like the previous panelist said, I think one thing that I completely agree is that the future is now. And every time you're putting out a product, you know that the product is going to come across after the next 3 to 4 years. So you are thinking in the future already. And then there are trends that we pick up on. So the audience and the users have become much more well-traveled. There is a lot of exposure. There is a fair amount of capability to spend, and that has seen to it that the expectations on aesthetics and the functionality has gone up quite a bit, and therefore, people are looking at seamless integration, engaging in spatial varieties, thoughtful user-centric designs, and looking at visitor interactions. We will kind of delve into each and every one of these in a very quick manner. So, in terms of seamless integration, something that Phil also spoke about, and something that we also feel fairly strongly about, is that you kind of tend to see spaces which flow inside outside, and the integration of the landscape within. So your plaza flowing into your, let's say, your promenade, and your promenade then flowing into your atrium, and then your atrium then further flowing into something which is like a courtyard. And and then you come out into the open, and then you go back in. So the inside outside experience and the variation that is created, and yet in a manner which doesn't seem jarring. This is something which seems to be a focus, and something that people are very keen about. Another thing that we are prominently seeing is that as we always speak about hygiene and design, in terms of natural light, in terms of a certain amount of filtering, I think that is also something that's making a very good strong comeback. Go ahead. So when we look at some of these, we just go to the next one. So when we look at spatial varieties, so when you look at doing volumetric work, so when you're looking at going from the inside to the outside, we also talk about how the volumes behave. So to the left are some of the works that we're doing, where we've got spaces which are triple height, sometimes large atriums which have skylights, which are actually LED screens, and that's where the technology part of it comes in. But a lot of these experiences that we try to create are now focusing on what kind of spatial quality that we can generate and create, and what experience we can provide. And this creation of spaces should also actually make the user feel that they've got to explore, and they've got easy visibility. At the same time, they know what next can be seen. Go ahead. So just to pick up on something that I was trying to say, so this is one of the projects that we're doing down south. So we are actually coming in from a porch, which is a double height experience. We're then taking it into a triple height experience as we go into the lower ground, and then we're making this into a large volume experience. And then you again come in, and then there is a connection back down. And then you come out, and you've come onto this central courtyard, which is partially open to Scai. These are the kind of experiences that I'm talking about. So what it does is that we've brought the inside outside. I've got various volumes at play. And then we've got the interaction and visibility between levels. So all of this, in my view, is something that is now part of the experience and part of the journey that people expect. The expectations have increased, and I think therefore the expectations of journeys and the experience that we are able to provide becomes that much more important. And therefore, we've started focusing much more on the experience part of this beyond just looking at the retail aspect of things or just visibility aspects. The central plaza that you see here, the atrium that you see here, the promenade outside that you see here are all actually multifunctional pop-up spaces, specifically kind of drawn out to curate these experiences. Go ahead. So, in terms of user-centric designs, again, I think a lot has changed between the last 15 years in our country. I think one of the most important things that we see as a basic now within the hygiene of design is being differently abled friendly spaces which are accommodating individuals with varying capabilities. Child friendly features, the evolution of pop up spaces merging into FECs is again something which is very important, and then lending themselves towards family oriented amenities within that, much like the central plaza I was showing you, or much like the inside outside experience we were talking about. Again, this also leads us to the way in which your vehicular movement happens. So your traffic flows with respect to public vehicle movement, with respect to visitors coming in or guests coming in, with respect to how their journey to the basement is and how it comes back up. And also keeping in mind the fact that, like we all know, we're looking at driverless cars coming across. We're looking at a lot of technology coming in. So giving a thought process to all of these in terms of how you park, how you are getting an access into the property is that much more critical. It's not just about how the insides are or how the outsides are. I think the experience that one has to provide starts with the traffic flow, the circulation, how I'm entering the property or the plot, then how I'm entering the built form itself, and how the journey is curated through. I think this is very interesting, and this is where a lot of the experience and design philosophies come in. With all of these, we also start seeing that not only the experience, but the way in which we look at the user interaction between volumes. This is something which has become very important. Creating spaces which have a little more of a social form are very important, like creating balconies, breaks within the aisles, seeing to it that you're engaging at different levels of the property. I think these things are becoming very important because in the day and age when you're actually very focused coming to a particular shop because you've already seen that particular dress online and you know that you've got to go and get that. If you've got to kind of curate the vision of that particular buyer or user, I think it's important to have these breakout spaces, which then entice them and then eventually make them indulge. So I think enticing and indulging is also something that is very important from an architect's viewpoint and the thought process point. Because if we aren't able to achieve that, then I think we're missing the basic format of circulation, which is very key to retail development. Go ahead. So this is where I think we can all breathe and say that there is a lot of things which are happening within our space. There are so many things which are changing constantly, and if we look at it from the standpoint, we can very easily say that we go to apps, we shop online. I think all of us shop online. I don't think anyone will disagree with that. And that has changed the way in which we shop. I mean, I don't necessarily now pick up my jeans by going to the shop and trying 5 times. And that is something which is changing the space requirements that we look at, or we're looking at augmented reality features, smart navigation. So just delving very quickly into each of these. Um, in terms of personalized shopping experiences, it's not purely just the app, but what retail stores have to now get ready with is like the left hand side image. You've got variations within which virtual reality can help you change without changing. It can help you browse without browsing. And therefore, the space dynamics changes, the provisions that we need to make for such spaces changes. And these behaviors and curated experiences that people are expecting is something that I think all our future malls will need to be ready for, or all our future retail will need to be ready for. It's not necessarily the same size of space that people now require, but it's going to be more specific at points. Similarly, what we also see is the way in which your shopping experiences are curated by pop-up zones, or the way you are made to walk through those zones, or the way you experience it. Maybe it's not really retail. Maybe it's a cart that you enter, or maybe it's a kiosk that's there. So there are a lot of different ways in which retail is beginning to operate, and that is something that we need to start making space for. And this is a journey, I think, which will take a while as we keep learning. Go ahead. So then you go a little bit further into augmented reality. And when you talk about augmented reality and the user already doing something at home and coming, or the user experimenting once they are there at the shop, is going to change the way in which we do our layouts. In a very simple way, there might not be so much of there may not be so much of inventory at the shop itself, and you might be lining up, going there and doing a lot of things still virtually, and then placing an order. And these things are already happening. And once we want to make provisions for this, again, like I was saying, augmented reality means very different experiences and very different space requirements. So this from a architectural standpoint, from an MEP standpoint, from a tech standpoint, is very important to understand. There will be new standards that we will need to adhere to when we look at planning, and most of those standards are evolving. So most of the properties that we are working on today, we are actually evolving and understanding a lot of VR, which is something that was not part of the curriculum about 5 years back. So this is something where we are learning on the go. Very interesting is 3D content in signages and hoardings, and how that has actually jumped from becoming just a regular signage or a sales pitch to the user. And actually, this particular opportunity has seen to it that people who are now coming are actually even enjoying this as an experience. It's not only an advertisement that you're throwing at them. It's not only a wayfinding methodology you're showing them. The 3D augmented reality and the 3D features actually bring a lot of interest. There is a property in Mumbai which we are actually looking at about 200 meters of 3D reality or virtual reality, and this is very interesting, because this, as I believe, is going to be the next most flexible and sought after way of signaging or hoardings. Go ahead. So, smart navigation, digital directories, this is something I believe all of us are already doing. I think we're all using touchscreen, mobile apps, and all of those things on a much more regular basis. And when you look at all of these on a much more regular basis, what you do see is the way in which signages behave within the architectural and interior space. Because the way in which they are traditionally seen versus how one wants to interact with them now is very different. And this is something that we've got to start getting used to, and something that we will probably get used to the fastest. Because using apps on the phone and using touchpads is something we're more or less in sync with today. This is one part where I think we should take a pause and say that this is probably one of the trends in the future that I feel is very important. Looking at multifunctional spaces, the way in which communities are blending, the way in which entertainment is being seen, and how we want to present our property with respect to entertainment, and the importance that has come to wellness. I think these are very important trends that we see as we proceed into the future. From the first thing is versatile areas. So versatile areas are extremely important today. Like we showed you in one of our projects, and in quite a few of our jobs, what we are doing is we're creating large open spaces, courtyards, semi-covered spaces, where you're able to do a concert, where you're able to do exhibitions, where you're able to do pop-up shops, flea markets. In fact, one of the things that we did at a soft launch of one of the properties was actually a local area event, about, close by 2 or 3 suburbs, and an event which was meant for the peoples there, not really a retail event per se, which eventually created a footfall for the property. So these are very critical and something that people are seeing as an important part of creating the next typology of properties. And this engages the people around you. It starts creating a sense of being with that particular property. And this, we believe, is a very important part of how we would design in the future. Go ahead. So, the evolution of multi-purpose spaces into FECs. Now, this is something which I think is very important. FECs, traditionally, we've looked at certain typical formats, but FECs have really grown leaps and bounds. There are so many formats within FECs, and there are so many FECs that we see are enhancing their versatility. So, for maybe 3 months, you see a certain typology of gaming that is happening or activity that is happening. And then maybe after 3 or 4 months, you've got it completely changed into something else. And they are also looking at engaging communities. They are also looking at how they can become vibrant hubs for families. And so this is something which is new. As far as we are concerned, FECs have actually become one of the most popular birthday party places. So that is something that we had not envisioned about 5 to 6 years back, but that is one of the biggest trends that we see in the country today. Um, uh, Innovative design with respect to layouts, modularity in design, because you want to plug and play. If you look at the previous 2 points, if I look at versatility and engagement with respect to flexibility, the way we modularize and the way we can put things together becomes that much more important. Accessibility and inclusivity, like we touched upon before, this is something which is very important. And previously, functions that we thought that a lot of people may not engage in is probably what we're trying to address today. And we're trying to make it as friendly to different people as far as possible. The integration of technology is extremely interesting. So there are so many kids play areas where you've got projection mapping going on, you've got projection touch going on, you've got touch enabled screens on which they play. So there are so many different type of games that are now coming in, which are purely in the realm of VR, and have moved fairly easily away from the arcade games. So, and then again in a few months, you see that they've got new games in the same format. So it's very interesting in terms of how the technology is impacting multifunctional spaces, and overall how multifunctional spaces are kind of blending into the FEC. The focus on experiential design, like we spoke for the mall, is important. Sorry. But at the same time, multifunctional spaces and FEC is focusing on experience, not only for the children, but also for the parents, is something which is very interesting. Wellness zones are blending into FECs and multifunctional spaces. We are today providing walking tracks, tricycle tracks. We're looking at various people looking at experiencing an entire property through a cycling track. So these are things which were unanticipated. We are also looking at turfs. We are also looking at multi-purpose courts. And all of these are atop most of the retails that we see. What that does is that, it's now moved from the multifunctional space, giving me engagement, not only for my child, but even for my age, and even as a family picnic destination. And it blends this whole thing into a wellness experience. So this is very interesting. So with this, I think family-friendly attractions happening into these multi-purpose spaces, looking at the turfs, looking at walks within enclosed spaces. These are new things. and something that we feel is going to be very important as we proceed. Now, one of the important impacts of OTT platforms and VR is that we are now seeing reduced occupancy in theaters. That means that we are seeing smaller theaters. We're seeing lesser screens. The focus, even in the screens, is now towards the experience, which is being uplifted. The malls are also prioritizing the way in which experiences can bring in customers. Market trends basically tell us that there is a slight reduction in the size of anchors, and you can see private brands slightly increasing their spaces. Multifunctional spaces we spoke about, and we also see F&B diving into the multifunctional spaces, which is interesting. Um, Another big change we see coming now is that you're going to see a lot of delivery partners tying up with a lot of retail brands. I think this article was also there in the Times of India in the last couple of days. This is the next big trend that will come across, where very similar to what you're seeing as a disruption in the food and the F&B market. What you're now going to see is that you're going to see a lot of people picking up stuff for you from a mall and bringing it back to you. So how do you look at these guys parking? How do you look at these guys accessing the shops? How do you look at these guys interacting with your guests? This set of circulation will be something which is completely new and something that we'll have to look for. Excuse me. So energy efficient stores, sustainability chains, sustainable supply chains, looking at digital solutions, green building practices, in-store experiences, all of these are very important from the standpoint of sustainability. And sustainability has become a big part of our culture today. I think as a country, we are moving towards net zero. We're looking at seeing how we can efficiently use our um, energy, how we can use natural light. We're looking at sustainable chains. We're looking at digital solutions with e-commerce, which can actually eventually take on the reduction of physical samples. Green building practices, I think we're all aware of. And then the in-store experiences that we talked about will also change the amount of spaces or the size of spaces that we see. All of these will eventually circle down to a certain sense of sustainability and energy consumption. I mean, there are a lot of debates about district cooling, and that's where mixed-use developments come in. There are a lot of discussions about natural light vis-a-vis, especially for food courts where the loads are high. So this is very interesting, and I think we're all working towards this. This is going to be a key way in which we work. It's not anymore an add-on to the designs that we do, but much more like a part of the designing process now. And that's something that we will see evolve further in the future. Mixed use developments, I think, are one of the largest impacts. I think Phil also said the same thing, and we are also seeing this. This is one of the projects that we're doing in Mumbai. We've got about 1,200, 1,500 apartments above, and we've got a neighborhood center below. What we see with this is that the idea that you want to see to it that the footfalls are now coming through your community or through your master plan. You want to see to it that this center is able to do things for this community and therefore create a set of customers. I think this is a trend which is going to keep on building. And I think without destinations and without mixed use, I think the future will be very different. So I think it's heading towards mixed use development and heading towards creating destinations. Okay. So, in conclusion, like I was saying, the shopping experience, blending of technology, sustainability, community engagement, focusing on innovative design, next generation malls will generally not only be retail destinations but community centers and promoting wellness. I think these are some very key points in our opinion. But yeah, thank you guys. I've tried to cover as much as I can in
Oh, Rahul, a very interesting presentation, a very insightful presentation you have given. In fact, the technology has, reduced the size of this world. The awareness
yeah,
level, even people living in the tier three, tier four, even tier five cities, the awareness level is very high, and accordingly, the expectations are there. So very interesting. So we have a time constraint also. So any
Yes.
question from any question, any clarity, any clarification you are looking for, or any observations on Rahul's presentation, or should we move ahead? Oh, all the, all of, no worries. Okay. So Ruchi, now next is yours.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Rahul. A very interesting presentation we have made and very informative also.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
Ruchi. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rahul and Phil. It was really informative. I would like to, seeing the, time constraint, we have already 320 and the 3:30 was the time limit. So I'll try to keep it short and crisp, and definitely I resonate most of the feeling that you guys have already shared.
But
So
Ruchi, whatever you have planned, whatever
yeah, yes,
you have
yes,
something in
yes,
your mind,
yes.
you please do share. Time
So
can be, that's not an issue. It will be extended.
definitely, I will share, but I will try to,
Yeah,
minimize
yeah. Please do
as
that.
much as
Yeah.
possible. I would not like to be repetitive in terms of already my
Because,
panelists have said a
yeah,
lot
knowledge
about it,
sharing
and
is very important.
I definitely resonate their feeling and being worked upon various. So just to start from, I am Ruchi Ranjan. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is a great platform to learn, because you have to learn in architecture every day, because it's a very evolving. The nature of things are changing. Behavior pattern of people are changing. So it is very important to evolve yourself, evolve the design and the requirement of it, because that is something that can give that change to the design what it requires. So to touch upon my perspective of the future mall, we'll go back we'll take a step back and start from how the shopping mall evolved, the requirement, the emergence of the shopping mall, how they were in the late 19th century. They were just very restrictive to their usage, in terms of there were departmental store, then the rising of Galleria kind of thing happened. Then in mid-century we had urban outdoor shopping street, and in late 20th century there were commercialization and infrastructure of public space that happened. And in Europe now, with urbanization and commercialization, there is different uh, trend altogether in terms of how the shopping mall of today feel with reference to what they were in the very beginning. Because like everyone has said, and I really believe in the same thing, that a shopping mall is not restricted to a shopping mall in today's world. They're really evolving. The requirement of these are evolving. Similarly in USA, what happened in USA to a very centric, isolated kind of a era where people would definitely only go for shopping, to the today's world where everything is changing and the requirement of people are changing. The attention time of people have changed. So, and now, with reference to what is happening in recent times with universal civilization and cross globalization, we have understood various cultures. The people are traveling, like Phil and Rahul had rightly said. People are very aware. They have seen various parts. They, whenever they go to any kind of destination, they look for something what is new. They don't want to, if one doesn't, if anything doesn't interest them much, they will not, they will go there once time, twice, but they will not go there many times. To make the repeat footfall, every destination or every shopping mall should be very well planned, giving them more than what it is meant for in terms of shopping. It's not only shopping, it's a user experience. That is something which is very important in today's date, to keep people glued to the requirement and ever evolving design of the shopping mall. That's my perspective on it. And so the mall is just not a very grand solid statement, that the mall is not the physical structure. The mall is a social and economic idea. People need to be engaged, people need to be given certain entertainment in terms of various functionality of all the right mixes and various culturally driven, for example, like the latest one, one of the example that I see in Icon CM, Bangkok, if people have seen that mall, the kind of food hall experience. So it, people tend to go to that mall to understand, to experience that kind of exposure. It's a six-level mall, which was hardly done anywhere in the world now, but every kind of thing, ideas are evolving. So every mall needs to have a story, or a store. Every store should have a story, because people identify and relate to these kind of things. They don't like drab things. They don't like something which is boring. So the word boring or repetitive needs to be completely eliminated from the thought process of designing a shopping mall. People should be given a certain story where they think that, where they remember, they reconnect, they relate to that part, that yes, this is that area, maybe a child centric to children, the thematic shopping malls where people have certain themes relating to various age groups, and imparting various and linkages to various age groups also. For example, there should be something for all the age groups, so that they have an experience of a note. So a family can go to a place and then can enjoy, depending on what all things are. For example, Cross, it has got its different experience of its own. Very high street, lot of successful opening with collaboration of brand, how Phil and Rahul had rightly mentioned. So the brand, the experience, the overall journey of the evolution of the mall has taken place now. And the challenge of the new age shopping mall is this only, that where do we exactly, what should be the eyeing or the element in that shopping mall which ties up, which increases the footfall of each and every design or the shopping mall that is coming up in place. So it is not about consumption. You can get that online. Everyone is shopping online. It's about the experience and delightment of the people, why the people will come to any kind of destination. So one has to be very careful while designing a shopping mall, that what is the idea and what is that one thing that this design is providing, which is not there, which one experience that is enhanced, that is getting enhanced in this particular, in any of the design, which is not there in any of the existing assets. So that it keeps on, it keeps the footfall live. Similar examples, like certain examples like Cold Drop Granary Square, the kind of plaza space, the experience, and so it has to be, like I said, and like my panelists have already explained, it has to be very engaging. It need not be only shopping centric. It needs to provide much more than a basic requirement of a shopping, because if you only have shops, people will prefer online shopping, because attention time is also reduced of the people. In online, they have various possibilities, options. When you want people to come down to a certain destination, there has to be much more than only shopping experience. Similar, some certain imagery of the yard, how well the plazas, how the transition of day and night, the activities that can come in uh, place with reference to the time change, and the various activities that can happen during the day, during the night, engaging the people equally enough. My firm belief is that shopping mall of today and tomorrow should be something which is, only successful shopping mall will be a placemaking journey. It need not be only centric to shopping experience. It should have a very successful placemaking. It should identify to the local cultural thing, giving a user its full on satisfaction in terms of their experience, certain activities, increasing that can help increasing in sales, in rentals, and increase in asset values. So placemaking is the future, how you derive. And placemaking can be done in various aspects. Placemaking is something that can be done through technology. So the ideal retail mix, in terms of what is the ideal percentage of vanilla. I'll go down to the like my panelists have already shared a lot of insight on the futuristic and the technology. I will put insight on what is the ideal mix in terms of one, if one is going to start designing of a project, then there are certain aspects that needs to be taken care in mind in terms of what is the, like I said, mix, the kind of anchor percentage you're offering, the F&B, the entertainment quotient to it, the experience in terms of food courts, rooftop bars, restaurants, entertainments. Uh, those are the key elements that will help tie up a good products mix in terms of giving the user the right kind of experience and right kind of breakup for each and every aspect of their requirement. And to come back to the designing, the design should be like sustainability, I believe, is a very important aspect in designing any building for the future and today as well, because we really need to be very sensitive towards our environment. We need to be very careful in selection of all our materials, the kind of passive performance design that should be the first thing that should come into place. Relativity to the local zone where the shopping mall is going to come up, innovation in terms of technology, innovation in terms of all the future aspects, like what is the demand of the future. So all those things will help you to get start with the right approach towards designing of any of the futuristic shopping mall. For example, the key challenges one faces while designing is parking. Like Phil, I am also involved in in DLF, we are doing a mixed use development which compromises of 10.3 million square feet of BOA, and it has got 7.5 million square feet of GLA. The number of car parks today we are designing is somewhere around, the overall complex of has somewhere around 14,000 car parks. It's a massive demand. It's a massive demand. And while designing all those things, the easement, because you need to give the user the right kind of experience so that they come to your uh, asset again and again. They feel very nice while coming to your asset. So parking approach access is the very first thing that should be neatly designed, and it should not be cumbersome. The idea is to make the user reach to the property. Ingress and egress should be very smooth and nicely flowed down in terms of overall experience, that a user should not be stuck in traffic or whatever for 1 hour, so that the overall experience of getting to the place becomes completely horrible. That should not be the case. So you should be very well. I understand the requirement of parking that is there, but I hope with the usage of and with the evolution of technologies like the self-driven cars and all other things, people will try and use the public transport. By the betterment of all the public transports in India, people will be encouraged to use, and the load on parking and all other necessities of it will come down in future. That is something I hope for. So, and the other challenge is that it should be very, the circulation of the mall and all other things should be very simplified. Whenever we design, it's very easy. One can gauge that this is the route, this is, or that is the route. But while you are there as a user, the navigation of the property should be very simple. It should be very straightforward. The racetrack design has been done and dusted to death, but it is the most successful way how you maneuver the entire complex. So it should be very simplified, that you are able to, you can identify it. A person can relate to the property, can understand the access and the overall route. So navigation and introduction of certain technology to the navigation, which furthermore give the ease to the consumer in terms of exploring where the each and every shop is. So the more user friendly, the more approachable you'll make the design, the people will definitely enjoy and will definitely come back to the property again and again. Thirdly, the accessibility. Accessibility should be for all. One should be very sensitive while designing any of the property show, which encourages people of each and every parts of walks of life and different abilities to be to come and enjoy your property. Common area should be well lit, light, ventilation, and all other should not be congested. It should be designed in a manner that it really enhances the user experience. diverse tenant mix I've talked about, environment and the green thing should be definitely there in place, because one has to be sensitive. Even the technology is evolving, everything is evolving, but we need to be very careful while we design our buildings that it should be a green thing. Integration of local and cultural thing is something which is really important. Like the example that I gave of Icon Siam, it in Bangkok, it really drives and talks about that culture a lot. So relativity is something which is very, very important. People should be able to relate to the property so that the recall value is there. Their relation to the surroundings is very much there. New consumers are looking for new experiences. They want to try out various different things what they must have seen abroad, they must have seen where they have traveled. So it should be a good conjunction of all the new experience tied together in one, under one roof, which will give people a lot of excitement to come back to that thing again and again. And the demand of the future is definitely such. So mall of the future, from non-places to places of experience, that is what I firmly believe. So each and every traditional shopping are all the same without any true identity aimed solely to purchase, but now it is evolving. We need to relate people to give them the experience, whether it is thematic malls like the Universal Studios in Singapore or the Sentosa Island and all other things. That should be the theme, should be there. People should experience certain things, the plazas, the rain gardens, or the fountains and all other things. It should be one thing where one center, one stop for all, which gives you fulfills demands of everything. For example, in terms of relaxation, your cuisines, your outdoor activities, something can do to do with the wellness part of it, exhibition area. So it should be one stop for all. And from mass consumption to individual experience, like a space which has got everything to do to have one part for everybody, for every walk of life, for every person who has got different interest in everything. So that those are the things that will derive, I believe, the change in the futuristic design from. And the discovery, in terms of innovation, why you go to the mall, there has to be certain like I said, in terms of experience, collaborations with brand, giving identity, digital, all world, enhancing the experience with all the digital things, because that is technology is the new thing that needs to be brought to the user experience, because every day there's certain new thing that is coming up. From private to collective, online purchases is a private experience where consumer only interacts with his own device. But with shopping malls, you need to give them the experience where they can, where they touch things, the sensations are alive, people see things, people interact, and people can go in the, a friend of a group of friends go to visit a shopping mall. You need to give them that kind of a thing. Each and every quality needs to be given, so that the experience, so I am stressing more on the experience. So the shopping mall should give a user a good kind of experience where everybody enjoys, and each and every person or each and every age group of person has got something or the other to be offered. The amalgamation of technologies, like rightly pointed out in the previous sessions also, there are new technologies like RFIDs, all other things that can help you with the parking, that can help you with the wayfinding, interactive self checkouts. Many of the brands have started this self checkout things. So the ease of shopping, the personalization touch, all those things definitely will help in the kind of space that we will be building in the future. Augmented reality, where you can definitely see yourself trying certain things, by reducing the attention time of people are getting reduced. They want to experience the same thing in less time possible. So one needs to be very careful in thinking how you locate each and every areas. So it should not be boring, it should not be very predictive also. At the same time, it should have a certain quotient of suspense, it should have a certain quotient of interest, which gives a user every time a new thing and a new way how they unfold the things around them. footfall counting is something which is very important. You need to anchor these shopping malls with areas of interest. Like rightly mentioned by Rahul, cinemas are dying, but the new experience of cinemas are evolving. We are going back to the theatrical kind of experience. So those, if not a regular cinema, people try to watch cinema in with the OTT platform. People love watching cinema at the comfort of their home. So why not give them the comfort of home in a experience with a grand kind of a screen? That will be something which will be very new. So every aspect of the shopping mall, every, I would say, the small nitbit of the shopping mall should be evolved, should be evolving in terms of user experience. That what is something that we can give them new, so that they are glued to the experience, and the repeat value is there. So, like I said, application of technologies and all other things. So I firmly believe that that all these things will definitely tie up to end to give us an experience of a very nice shopping experience, and the design basis of a futuristic mall. So for me, the takeaway, and I would say the one reinforcing thing that I would like to do uh, from my aspect, will be the placemaking. Any mall that is built today or for tomorrow should have its own identity, and should be rooted with its very strong theme, which will help people have a recall value and all other things. So that is all I have to say for the for on the topic, and I hope I could really impart certain thing from my aspect of the thought process on the topic.
Thanks, Ruchi. Very interesting. In fact, you have shared very realistic and practical ideas. Really, it's very interesting. Any question for Ruchi? I don't know why we are so miser in asking questions. Anyway,
Oh,
so
sorry. Can I come in for Ruchi for a
yeah,
moment?
yes, please, Rahul. Yeah, please go ahead.
Ruchi, I was hearing you out quite a bit, and I think I agree with you on the placemaking point and the point about car parks. But since you talked about car parking, I just wanted to ask you, what is the standard that you all are looking at currently? I mean, what is the thumb that you're looking at currently?
So thumb rule, Rahul, in terms of we are doing a mixed use development in Gurgaon recently, which I mentioned, of 7.5 million square feet. The thumb rule for retail that we are currently looking for is 750 square feet of car park per GLA. So that is the current understanding that we are following, and we believe that this should go down. This should go down a bit by encouraging people using the public transport, or enhancement, and giving them a better user experience. How the way for the present project that we are doing in DLF, I would like to take a 2 minute opportunity to talk about that. So we are embedding a complete skywalk network all around the cyber city, and through that project, so that we encourage people use the public transport, use of metros. We want to make it very seamless, so that rather than people coming from the park, from the cars, or the individual people from pedestrian also, they are able to approach the site in a very seamless manner. So present, to come down to your topic, to your question, it is 750 square feet per car that we take in account as of now.
All right, noted. And do you see this changing as we move towards, autonomous cars? This is a debate that we're having very committedly over the last two projects that we've
Yeah.
been doing. One is about 2.3 million square feet. Again, crazy number of cars that we're looking at. And then we're like, okay, do we want to do this? Or do we want to just merge it with the commercial aspect of the project? Because it's will it be overkill after 10 years? So this is
We are somewhere in between the two, because we definitely like the technology of the past, but to come down to our Indian behavior per se, I would only talk about that. We are more of a private thing, our own comfort. So I will say that it will take us a little bit of more time to get accustomed to that kind of thing, because we are very much used to calling our driver and saying, please come here, I want to get picked up. So maybe, it will take us a little more time to adapt to that kind of futuristic technology. maybe we can use, but we more rely on a human aspect of it. So we will go down there. We will definitely try and reduce our load of car parking. That is the requirement of future, with all those evolution and adaptability of ourselves to those kind of futuristic requirement. But it'll take us time. So in 5 to 10 years, I would say that we still will have to rely to these kind of crazy numbers that we are designing these properties for.
750 it is. Okay, thanks.
So now, thanks, Ruchi.
Thank you.
Sumit, please join us. So welcome, Sumit. You're on mute. Sir, you're not audible. You're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. Please.
So I think most of my colleagues and have covered, I think, all aspects that we wanted to talk about, and I think most of the things are covered, and I think I completely agree with a lot of things that everyone's talked about. Uh, Basically, I don't know whether I should reiterate the same things again. I think whether it's Rahul or whether it's Ruchi or what Phil started, I think everyone covered most of the insights that we are looking at towards whether it's integration of the inside versus the outside, whether it's getting experiential quality, whether it's creating unique spaces, whether creating landmarks. I think most of the topics have been covered, and I don't know whether I should again do a presentation all over again and make this webinar very boring. But I don't think it's wise for our audience to keep reiterating the same thing again. And I in fact would very happily take any questions if anyone wants to say. But because everything is covered, everyone's covered technology, everyone's covered things on parking, people's covered things on experiences, whether it's creating relations, creating amphitheatrical spaces, multiple use of spaces. I think everything has been covered by all my respected colleagues. Yeah. So I don't know whether Anjeev I should do again a 15-20 minute presentation
It's fine.
talking about the same
I
thing.
fully agree with you. There's no point in repeating the one thing again and again, and it will make it
Exactly.
very
So
boring.
so the
So,
only
but
thing that
something must have been. But why don't you share your ideas? Something, we have listened Phil, Ruchi, and Rahul, but something must be, but
So I'll tell
missing.
you what the only thing that I felt, and I personally feel is that there are a few things that we as architects and planners need to keep in mind going forward is other than all the things that everyone spoke about. I think is that if we can create very very unique user interfaces, and when I mean by user interfaces, we're talking about the different age groups of people that we have. There are a lot of people who are inclined towards pet friendly retail. There are a lot of people who are inclined towards senior citizen retail. People want to have retail. There's not a retail which is designed completely for for children. So basically, there are a lot of these special retail if they can be come together in one space. And we are large shopping has been created all over the world, whether it's India, whether it's the UAE. I think Dubai Mall talks about a lot of those kind of aspects where there is kids which are getting very uniquely integrated with the shopping, because shopping is all about how a family comes together, right? It's all about how we all go together and enjoy that whole experience. So it should be a place where you create those kind of experiential quality for everyone to be, and everyone should be a part of it. My baby also should be able to enjoy that shopping, including me. And it all covers, if we can get retail integrated very very seamlessly, where an elderly citizen and a kid and a middle age and the Gen Zs can enjoy at the same time. I think that will be a great powerful retail happening, because right now what I see is that no one wants to go to shop. People want to do online shopping as much as possible, and everything is available at the fingertips. So malls are
What
only
about
getting
experience? Everything is available online, but
exactly.
go to malls for experience.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Anjeev, that people go to malls. If you look at it, whether it's the shopping festival, okay, or whether it's the season, whether it's Diwali, whether it's Christmas, it's those are the times that people go to shop, right? That's when people want to shop. Otherwise, everything is available at your fingertips. No one wants to go to a shopping mall and shop and go to the retail. So only if you create those experiences where everyone can go and enjoy, like a town square. That's what it used to be like. Cultural experiences were there. People used to go to a mela. They used to enjoy the mela. That's
Very
when
right.
everyone used to enjoy. There used to be food. There used to be entertainment. Everyone used to come together, and it's a place where you get everyone together, all forms of life. Whether it's not only about creating luxury, it's not only about creating a mid-segment housing or a mid-segment shopping. It's all about where everyone can come together, all forms of people can come together. I think that will be the most successful shopping or most successful retail which will happen in years to come, because otherwise it's not far from the future that we'll see another pandemic and the shopping malls will die.
Sumit, I have a question for you. In fact, Mr. Vamsi Valaru here sent a question, and his question is, what are the new trends in mall designs with food delivery options and omni channels for online shopping? But anyone can answer this. Yeah, but I'm asking Sumit. Anyone can take this question.
In fact,
Can I
I
repeat the question?
yeah, so even for that, if you look at it, whether it's food for that matter, any boutique food outlet also now delivers it to your house, right?
Yes,
So you
right.
don't need to design a restaurant for 50 people or 100 people, because everything comes to your doorstep. So how do you get everyone to to the restaurant? Because you go to a restaurant, so I go to a restaurant. It's got a capacity of say 100 people or 50 people, but I have a waiting for almost half an hour, 45 minutes if I don't have or I don't get a booking, right? So how do you make things very easily available going forward? I think that's the question that people need to answer.
Yes. So, Sumit has floated this question. Anyone, Ruchi or Rahul or Phil, if is there, can even, nobody is
So
taking this question. Rahul is there. Fine.
So I think in one of our projects, like I was saying, we are trying to address this through trying to create variation of centers within the center itself. So we've tried to create these multi-purpose spaces which actually become community event spaces. So we've got a few neighborhoods around which we are opening up the courtyards to, and they can actually host their neighborhood events over there. That eventually brings them to the property, and once they're there, there are multiple things that they can do over there. And we're doing this through various. So we've got a courtyard in the same property, we've got a plaza, we've got a high street experience, we've got a market experience, and we've got atriums spread across 3 or 4 different levels. So what this does is that we're trying to now not only pull people into those spaces, typically through anchors or through the movies, but also through these events which are taking place. And I think this is just one of the things that we're trying, and over the next few years, we'll come to know how that fares. But yes, this is one of the attempts that we're trying to make. Another attempt that we're trying to do is that make this entire space, we're doing this entire space as more or less as an F&B value center, where everything is really focused around F&B and entertainment. And this is part of a commercial building. And we're saying that we're trying to do this as a local footfall as well as trying to pull in people from the same master plan. So yes, there are some interesting things. I think we're trying to answer this question too. I think time will tell. We all have a few opinions on this.
Ruchi,
Uh,
I think you
I
want to add something.
Yeah, I completely agree with Rahul and so with what he said, because the mixed use development we are also doing, it's a very heavily centric commercial. It's like a cyber hub that we're trying to recreate on the roof, and a mix of all those amenities. But it's highly dependent on F&B, because food is something which is which the excitement of that will never finish. The you can tie it up with various season, various cultural backgrounds, the various cuisines that are possible. So food is something that will definitely be a very important element of any of the user experience, which will add to the overall placemaking of that place. So I definitely think heavily the projects that we are doing are also very heavily centric on F&B and the experience of various cuisines that we can bring to a single under one roof.
So, are you okay with? Are you satisfied with the responses, Sumit?
Or not really.
Okay. So, I think I'm really. We had a very insightful session, a very interesting session. So, it's the time constraint. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
have stretched it a little further. So now we are concluding it, and I'm thankful to all my panelists for sparing their precious time for Sky. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you,
So
Anjeev.
much for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you very much.